What's up guys, I'm Jameson and today I'm going to show you one way to improve your bebop drumming. When studying any particular style like bebop, it's important to study the masters who epitomize that style. For the bebop style, one of the great drummers of all time was the drummer Max Roach. In an interview for Modern Drummer magazine, the drummer Tony Williams once said that Max Roach was the first drummer to show him that the drums could be just as beautiful as any instrument. One of Max's great compositions to the drum set was his melodic approach to soloing. Instead of playing like a drummer's drummer, he integrated the style and nuance of the bebop horn players into the drum set. This approach is evidenced on Max's recording of For Big Sid, which is a 3-minute melodic drum solo composition. Now, it's time to talk about just how Max was able to adapt the bebop horn style to the drum set. The first obstacle in adapting horn phrasing for the drums is an obvious one. Horns can play long notes, the drums can only play staccato notes. So when bebop horn players solo, we hear a smooth stream of connected eighth notes, and in order to achieve this on the drums, Max used what I call the up-down method. The up-down method is simply the alternation of hands and feet. The ups are the hands, and the downs are the feet. The reason this works so well is because there's two separate surfaces, and when they're played in alternation, the drums are allowed to ring longer. So it creates the illusion that the notes are ringing into each other, and therefore we get this connected sound that's similar to the bebop horn players. So here's the first phrase we'll use. This is called one up, one down, or alternating one hand with one foot. We'll start with the bass drum and the snare drum. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, something that Max did to make it just a little bit more legato is he played double stops on two different drums. And really, it's just that these two different drums ringing creates just a little more sound and helps a little bit more with that illusion of legato connected eighth notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's keep going. Another phrase that Max used is 3 up, 1 down, or 3 notes with your hand and 3 notes with your foot. And while we're at it, let's start moving around to different drums, maintaining the double stops. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so far we've learned how Max Roach imitates the articulation of the bebop horn players, but we also need to learn how he imitated the phrasing of the bebop horn players. A little background here, the word bebop actually comes from a scat syllable that was used to imitate the phrasing of bebop horn players. So at the end of a phrase, they would play a bebop to end the phrase. Let's take a listen to an example of that. You can hear the phrase end with a high-low pair of eighth notes, creating a clear button on the end of the phrase. Now Max imitated this phrasing with an up followed by a down at the end of a phrase. I'll show you an example where I could play a couple up-downs, 3 ups, 1 down, and then I'll end the phrase with an up-down bebop. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we've developed a way to end phrases, let's talk about different ways to start them. In the previous examples, I just started right on beat 1, but you can also start with a pickup phrase, or before beat 1. Check out this pickup phrase that Max used. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Alright, now let's combine the pickup phrase with the bebop phrase. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now if we put that in a 4 against 3 pattern, then we get this cool phrase that Max Roach used to play a lot. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Alright, with our legato articulations and our clear phrases, we're starting to make a pretty good case for the drums as a melodic instrument. But let's do one more thing to seal the deal. We're going to add accents. Now, anybody who has checked out Max Roach knows that the difference between his accents and his unaccented notes is so clear, and it's one of the best parts of his playing. This, again, is an imitation of the bebop horn style, where phrases accented different notes, whether they were the high notes in the phrase or the low notes in the phrase. It created a syncopated feeling that is really important in bebop. For this next example, I'll use some of the Max phrases that we've been talking about. The first time with no accents, all the same volume. The second time with accents. And I think you're really going to hear the difference and how important it is that you use those accents. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, we have only just started exploring the possibilities. We haven't talked about polyrhythm, we haven't talked about switching out your hi-hat for your bass drum, we haven't even touched the cymbals yet. And Max used these techniques in all sorts of different ways. So the next step is to start making up some phrases of your own that use these techniques. If you find one you really like, write it down and add it to your vocabulary. Also, go check out some more Max Roach. There's so much else that you can glean from him, and you should steal it and figure it out in this way. If you enjoyed this lesson, flam tap those like and subscribe buttons because I've got some more Max Roach coming up soon. Until then, thanks for watching and happy practicing.